Jordan, good morning. How are you?
Man, I am doing great. Thank you.
I'm really excited to get to talk to you today. I want to bring our future audience in to know a little bit about you here and to introduce you to our future audience. I have the great privilege and pleasure of talking to country music singer and songwriter Jordan Moore. Today, October 23rd, 2020, is an important day for his music career. Jordan, I'm just so honored to be able to talk to you on the actual day that you're releasing your debut single and video for At Quittin.
Man, I appreciate you having me. It's just kind of come together right now. So I'm excited to be here, and I'm glad for you having me, man. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. So after spending some time looking at your website and some of the social media that you post on, it's obvious you've been looking forward to the release date for a long time. The countdown's been going. Get friends and family and people in the industry pumped up about it, and now here's that day. I was even on last night seeing the 1 hour. I was working on some stuff last night, seeing the first initial post. One of those YouTube views is me. I had already seen the video, but
right on. Thank you.
Me. Yes. So
I appreciate that. Yes. It's been something I've been anticipating, I guess, for a little while now. I don't know, man. I'm sure you've got some questions. I've got lots to talk about, so
good.
I don't want to go off track there.
No, but
the anticipation has been huge, man. And honestly, I've got just a good group of people around me that have been so supportive. That honestly, they've encouraged me to just continue to try and push forward, for my passion. So.
And that's important, because if you've got the people behind you, you feel like you can move mountains,
That's correct.
If people believe in you that are around you,
yes,
they support that. So when you have your doubts, if you ever have your doubtful moments about the journey, you're like, okay, I'm back on track. They got me, they got my back.
Correct. Yes, sir.
So can you tell us a little bit about this song now that you're put out to the world now today?
Yeah. Honestly, so the song itself is called At Quittin. And really, I started writing this song a while ago. I was going through a time of my life that was not the easiest to deal with. Mm-hmm. If you pay attention to the lyrics, it's a song about getting cheated on.
Yeah.
And it was one of those deals where I was in that relationship and I knew what was going on, but it's one of those scenarios where you're like, man, you spent your whole life building this situation. What do you do in this situation? And so for me, it was 100% vulnerability, man. Like I hadn't been into a studio since 2010, and I wasn't really planning on getting into the music industry after I kind of gave it a little run back then. And that's how I met Noah.
Oh, right.
Become
your band, right. Mm-hmm.
He's become one of my best friends, and he's my producer, which just works great. Because the truth is, man, when him and I start to work on something, there's just a chemistry there that, him and I sat down to start to write. I didn't really know what we were going to write, but I was like, you know what? I have to have this outlet in my life. I love music. It's who I am. It's what I am. And the truth is, I love helping people. And so for me, music has always been more than just playing music or being on stage. And it's like, there's meanings behind it, man. And music connects to people. And I hope that through my life situations, I can relate to people. And that's just always been who I am. But this song specifically, I really had no idea what we were going to start to write. We sat down in the studio and, we just picked up some guitars and we were messing around. I hadn't written a song and I just kind of gave up on it. I was like, man, I just got to focus on my life and get this together. And ended up moving to just outside of Nashville, and not with really the intention to do anything in music. It's just, honestly, I needed a fresh start, and that's what I got. And so we started writing this song over a year ago. And it really didn't, I wasn't planning on really doing much with it. Mm-hmm. And Noah was like, well, what do you want to write about? I was like, dude, I don't really know, and so we started talking about my life and just him being my brother, him talking to me and asking, well, how are you doing? How are you handling this stuff? And I said, he asked me a question. I said, man, honestly, I'm really bad at quitting things. I have a hard time quitting things, man. And it's just who I am. I don't ever want to quit something. I don't want to feel like a failure. But the truth is I'll fail, but I'm never going to give up,
Right.
you know? And he's like, well, I think that's probably a good starting point. You know, also, and that's where At Quittin came from. It came from that line, honestly. It was like, and as soon as I said that, I had a direction, and I was like, man, this is actually what we should write about. And then honestly, later that day, we had a formatted song, and I've been sitting on it for a little while because I was like, well, I don't really know what to do. I want to do it right. And he's like, man, you should try this on your own. I was thinking, honestly, I was like, maybe I'll just pitch the song to somebody, you know, like I wasn't really thinking, hey, me as an artist, which I do love to perform. That's who I am. I love being on stage. Don't get me wrong. Like that is a part of it. But the truth is I love helping people.
Yeah.
And that's just the way I was raised too, man. Like, so the song, it can relate to a lot of people. I don't want to ramble, but I mean, I'm passionate.
No, this is great. This is great. This is what we want people to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. So legitimately though, once we had an idea for the song, it was together and we started tracking and we had it done that day. I mean, not completely finalized, but we had a structure.
You had, yeah, exactly. You had your verse and your chorus, and you had everything happen in the bridge, and that's magic when that happens. And it's always so neat to talk to people or to read books about artists and hear how these songs happen, because it is like you said, you're just having conversation and you say something and the light bulbs light up for both of you. You say, okay, let's work on that line. Let's go from there.
The song was built from that one line, man. I mean, and then obviously just the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be happy that you didn't put this songwriting aside and that you didn't shelf this music career. I think as they hear your music, they're gonna be super happy that you are back in the music biz.
Well, I'm glad to be in it. You know, it's my passion. I grew up in music, and so it's been something that it's been my love, man. So I honestly, like, if I didn't have the support from family and friends that I have, from Noah even, you know, he was the one that's like, dude, you should do this on your own. He's like, you've got it. You've got everything you need. He's like, let's make this happen. So, yeah.
Sometimes it just takes that extra someone to just kind of push you a little more and say, okay, you know, like you hear it in your mind. You're like, I'd like to do this, but I'm just not sure. And if someone else can kind of get in your head and say, this is your thing, you can't.
Right.
You know, he knows what, because of his work with you in the past in your band after college and everything, you know, that was, you know, he knew what you could do. He believed in you, and that's what it's.
He pushed.
We need that push in life from people sometimes. You know?
Absolutely, man.
I know that in addition to the song, you create a video, which now is also out there we talked about that a minute ago. Maybe talk a little bit about the video and maybe like how it came about making that video, you know.
Man, I got to be honest with you. Huge shout out to Keith Lehman. Man, that dude, when we first, Noah, that was a connection there too. But he said, hey, I got a buddy who, you know, we're going to try and break out into the country world. Just want to get back into it. He called and said, hey, you know, would you be interested in helping him out? And he helped me out huge, man. I mean, most breakout artists don't get to go have Keith Lehman shoot their video.
Yeah.
And he was amazing. And I got to be honest, it was huge for me because when he showed up the day that we were going to shoot, he even told me the week before, and he's like, man, if I get a phone call from somebody big, I'm going to have to cancel on you. And he's like, if it all works out, it's meant to be.
Wow.
You know, and so he straight up said that. And then when we got there, it was funny because he even called me after we got done shooting the video and was like, man, I got to be honest with you. He's like, I see 1,000 Jordan Moores every day. He's like, and I did not want to go this morning to this shoot. He's like, I haven't had that much fun in a long time.
That's so cool.
And honestly, dude, right away when we started to shoot, he was like, man, you don't seem too excited. You don't seem whatever. And I was like, man, I'm excited. You know, I'm under the water. My feet are going. You know, I'm like, I want to do this. I know that your time's important. I want to be able to knock. I'm very professional. I like to be on time. I'm very punctual. And he came up to me after the first take, and he said, what was it that he said? He goes, man, I normally have a laundry list of things to critique on for the artist. He said, keep doing that, and you're going to have a music career. And I was like, all right, does he say this to everyone? You know, I'm like, as I look at Noah, I'm like, is he normally like this with people? But you know, like, man, it was smooth. There was a lot. I had a lot of help that day from a lot of friends, my support team, man. Like, everybody was there ready to help if they needed. Nobody really knew what the day was going to hold, but we knocked it out in a day. It was a long day. But to have a music video of that quality for my first video, man, Keith, I mean, it was a blessing, man. So
I think you got to shoot for that CMT 12 pack that they have, you know, the CMT 12 pack, and see if you can get that to happen and get people voting for it. It seems to be something that's really helping a lot of country artists today to get. That seems to be a place where things are happening. The CMT 12 pack, yeah.
Perfect. I'll have to check into that for sure.
Because I've talked to a few artists in the last several weeks that have gotten into that top 20, just getting started their careers, and that's been a big catapult for them to think of all the thousands of people that can see that, you know, hundreds of thousands of people that would see on CMT, National Country Network, you know. So that's maybe a good point to get that in their hands, because you know, and it's very professionally done. You could see it on TV. I could see that could be something that would look very scale professional on television, you know, for people to see. So I mean, it's more than just a social media post. It's a video. It's a video that deserves that airtime, you know. So and I think that, as you mentioned when in talking to the producer of the video, that I'm sure he was genuine, because I mean, he was honest with you. He said, you know, hey, I didn't want to go. I mean, you can't be more honest than that. I didn't really want to show up today for this because I didn't know what to expect, and I'm busy. But you proved me wrong. You proved to me that you're in this, you know, and that you've got this, and that's couldn't be any cooler to hear from somebody like that. I'm sure it was very genuinely.
It was very motivating.
Yeah,
it was very motivating.
So I do a little bit of teaching music to people, and I tell my students, you know, when I go on about something like that, and I tell them, I say, I don't tell this to everybody. I warn them. I say, I don't tell this to everybody. I wouldn't want, it doesn't do me any good to inflate your ego if it's not real, because someone else is going to be real with you and tell you that it's not so good. And I wouldn't want to build you up for someone else to pull you down. So I always tell them, I wish to be a fly on the wall in some of my other lessons and see what I'm telling these people. I'm never brutal, but I'm not blathering on about it. I'm very just, you know, well, we had to work on this a little bit. I'm always objective, you know. So and that's why
it was really good. It was huge for me, especially to get that phone call after the day had been done, after he drove home. He called me. I was like, man, you know, and so it was very encouraging for me, to say the least. Yeah.
So when you have those moments where you're like second guessing the career and everything, think about that day when you made that video. That's a big turning point for forward motion.
Absolutely.
And you know, you kind of mentioned this, but people see the finished product of a video and say, oh, you know, it's about 3 minutes and so on and so forth. But all the editing that goes into it, all the different takes, right? It's quite the process.
Oh, it was a long day, man. It was a full day.
It's not glamorous. It's fun.
It's not glamorous. It's fun, but it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It is exhausting. There's no doubt about it.
But now when you look at the finished product and you see that, when you see that finished product, and you know that, you know, no worries. But when you see that finished product, you know that it was worth all that time.
Oh yeah, it was a blast. I can't wait to make another one.
Yeah, right. So tell me a little bit about how you got started in music and the journey that kind of brought you to today. I mean, the band and just growing up around music.
Man, I've had a guitar and a mic in my hand since I can remember. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. And my dad loved music. And since I can remember, you know, we've been either helping at church or performing as a family, and we would go to old folks' homes and help out and perform music. And like, it's just been one of those things where my dad has always tried to cultivate every single one of his children's interest in music. And he's always been 100% supportive of it. You know, like anytime, if it was, I mean, legitimately, since I can remember, I've had a guitar. You know, we had full setup. We had a PA with drums, bass, guitars, everything down in the basement. And we didn't really play a lot of video games. We played music. So, yeah. And legitimately, I've been involved in it. Ministry is huge for me. I love helping in church. I haven't been able to do it a ton lately just because of life since I moved here. It's so fast paced, but all through growing up, all through college, while I was playing football in college, I still stayed involved helping in church. Music has been a part of my life since I can remember, it's just, and that's why honestly lately, before I decided to do this, it was like, man, there's a lot going on. What's missing? Like it's brought a new, fresh breath of air in my life, which is good, and
Yeah.
my children are absolutely loving it. They're like, oh, Dad, you're gonna be this, and I'm like, all right, calm down. Like, but then they'll walk around and sing the song, and I'm like, yeah, okay, it's kind of cool. But no, man, I grew up, and like I said, the youngest of 5 kids, and my oldest brother played drums, my oldest sister played the bass, and my dad had his own little built-in band, so.
That's fantastic. I mean, so you obviously you have the support of family, like you said, because they've been on a journey with you since before you could, hold that guitar in both hands, and so it's like,
oh yeah,
it's so neat to hear. And I mean, a lot of people do events and charity events and help people sometimes because they're told by their management that that's what you got to do. Whereas from you, it's from the heart. You can just tell that you're looking at your music as being a way to reach people and to help people. And that's going to take you a long way.
Man, that's 100% correct. I feel like I have purpose in life, and I'm here to make the world a better place, period. It doesn't matter if I'm in my job or if I'm doing music. It's obviously every day is a day that I get to make a decision to make the world a better place or not. So,
yeah, true. There is that or not, and you've chosen the other way. You've chosen to be positive force to everybody, and everybody that you'll come in contact with in the future. You have sometimes that one moment to say something that will inspire them to maybe even turn their life around. For you, it's
without question, man. And that's one of those scenarios where that's what music has always kind of been for me. Like I get to have those conversations with people like, hey man, the time that you took to talk to me about this and the fact that you've dealt with this in your life. Now, the band that I was in college, honestly, man, like we started playing music just because we love music, and it turned into, let's do mission work. Let's help. Let's use this platform to help people, because we were writing some really powerful lyrics, honestly. And it was kind of a weird time where everything went digital and it just kind of got lost in the shuffle, and then life happens and it's hard to take care of, all the bills as an independent artist. So it's one of those deals where music I've always been able to see, especially growing up in the church, the power of music, the just what, one word or a chorus can do to someone's mental state, and it really is, you can take a person who's ready to, end their life and say, hey man, there's hope. There's hope.
That's okay. So powerful. And I think when we live in a world that's got so much social media, you hear stories every day about how young people, when they're basing their worth on what people say on Facebook about them, or if they like their post, if they dressed a certain way and people endorse it or not. And it's like there's kids every day that are in this. It's something that we didn't necessarily have to deal with growing up, with so much of the social media, where now these kids are really, they're being very, very tough on themselves. And that's also ministry in itself, is that as you reach out to these young people, that when they hear your music and you can look out in your audience and see someone singing one of your lyrics, and knowing that they're not just singing because they love the melody, but those words are penetrating.
Correct. And that's, I don't mind writing fun songs.
Sure.
But, there's a lot of time where I just want to write songs that mean something.
Yeah, of course. And the power that's in that. So that's something that you say, like you said, there's someone that may be on a bridge in their life.
And I've seen it, man. I've gotten to experience it firsthand, and it's life-changing to the point where I will never not have music be that for me. So
It's very powerful, and you know, it's just the music that you do today and in the future is really going to be that catapult to your fame, because people can tell you're genuine. They can tell you're genuine. You know, there's no doubt that people who don't know you well yet, and who are just learning about you now, people outside of that, the inner circle that will
Yeah.
learn more about you, will be able to see right into that, and that's what's going to help you so much.
Well, I hope so.
I'm confident about that. I really am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Was it difficult for you to transition from Michigan to Tennessee to make that jump? Because I mean, you said when you first moved down there, you weren't necessarily thinking about music.
No, I really wasn't at all. Honestly, we had some things happen, just some more life situations.
Yeah. We all have them. We all have them. Yeah.
Yeah, that honestly, it was one of those deals where it was like, you know what, we just had an opportunity to move here, and I was like, it'd be a fresh start. Let's do it. And you know, I mean, I've been in the car business for long enough where that's easy enough business to get into. So it was like, well, let's just go. We packed up everything and moved here. So.
Well, you can almost see the divine path on that, because it's not like you moved to Billings, Montana, or Boise, Idaho. You moved like a little while out of Nashville. You know, I mean, like, it's just
right.
Even if it wasn't a plan, maybe there was a bigger plan in that, because you're right outside the music world now. You know, right, just
correct.
A few minutes away, you drive into the city, and it's all that magic happens.
It's correct. That's absolutely correct. And what's really been cool, honestly, like just recently, like honestly, I've been here for a while and I haven't really met anyone. Okay. But like, since I decided to say, okay, Noah, I'll do this.
Yeah.
I have met countless people that just fall into my lap. And Noah's like, dude, this is crazy. He's like, people move here just to meet one of those people. And you've met 6 of them in the past month, you know? And so it's like, yeah, it's been cool to just see the timing and just all the little things that are just landing in my lap, that it's just like, man, glad I didn't give up.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's meant to be, because of just the fact that all these things now, everything that happens like that reinforces that you made the right choice. You know, it just reinforces that you're on that right path. Is there an amazing moment? You talk about the video and about working with Keith, I believe you said that working with Keith.
Yeah.
You know, that is there another moment like that since you have started to meet these people, like you're like, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe I'm standing here face to face talking to so and so. Was there a moment like that?
Yeah, I didn't even know who some of these people were.
Sure.
Like I had to call Noah. I was like, you know, I end up, I'm at work, okay, and so this one of my friends was like, hey, this guy's in music. You should come talk to him. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I go talk to him, and meanwhile, another guy's there who is the lead singer of a band that I really like. So I was already like, kind of like, hey, dude, this is so awesome, you know. And like him and I kind of become friends, you know, which is cool. And then so I'm like trying to not be rude, and then I walk over, and then this guy's like, hey, yeah. And so one of my colleagues, one of my good friends that I work with, is like, hey, you should really meet this guy. And it turns out it was Michael Knox. And I'm like, oh. So then he says something. I'm like, I gotta be honest, I don't even know who this is. And then I call Noah, and he's like, he's only the biggest producer in Nashville. And I'm like, oh my word. Like, I gotta get out more. I work too much. But yeah. So it was pretty funny, man. So I have met several people in the music industry who are high up. Honestly, like even Ryan, he's Noah's manager. He's kind of been helping me. So I mean, huge shout out to him. His business partner, Larry Paregas. And what's funny is I actually sold Larry a car, but he's one of the most genuine people you'll ever meet. And he told me straight up, he said, man, if I can't help you, I know the person who can. He's like, and he's just been, he is one of the most genuine people I have ever met, just a sincere, good human. And so like, yes, there's things every day that are happening for me that I'm just like, what? This is awesome. You know, like, most people don't get to have these people in their corner unless they're already a big deal. You know, someone who's just me. That's what somebody called me the other day. They're like, well, I need some more information about your background. I'm like, what do you, I mean, I don't have much else to tell you.
Right.
Like, I am who I am, you know, but it's like, I mean, you try and make So nothing sound good, I guess.
Well, I mean, I think too in Nashville, it just seems like a very tight knit community. Everybody knows everyone. There's, you know, you're
Correct.
maybe one degree of separation from someone like a producer like that, like a Michael Knox, or from
Yep.
an artist or a producer or a songwriter. I mean, it's songwriter haven down there in all genres.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And that's actually, honestly, that's one of the reasons I was like, at first, I was like, well, maybe I'll just write some music and pitch it, you know, because I've been meeting all these people who that's all they do. And I'm like, well, you know, at least get my foot back into writing some music, you know, but we're going to see what happens.
Yeah.
I can get on stage.
Well, that's the big thing. That's what's going to write your story, is that, you know, like you said, you know, what do you want me to tell you about my life? I'm me, you know, what types of things.
Yeah.
But when you're on that stage, that's when your story will be written. When we can get back to a place where we can safely perform again for audiences and crowds.
Yeah.
That's when your story is going to be written down there and across the country, you know, because people are going to see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we're all chomping at the bit to have our music perspective, to go to live music as audience members. I talk to so many artists who just can't wait to get back out on that stage again. You know, it's just,
I know.
It's been a rough
Man,
time.
there's nothing like it. And I tell, you know, there's very few things that give you that type of an adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
This is nothing like it, unless you're a bow hunter.
Yeah, there. What would be the venue that in Nashville that you would like that's where I want to, you know, be, and either end up at that venue, or what are the steps to that venue? What venues did, just like the sacred venues of Nashville?
Well, I mean, I think you've got, obviously, I mean, shoot, you got Opry, right? You've got the Ryman. Ryman's cool. Yeah. Like, I would love to play there just because it's so tight, you know, like it would just be intimate is the word I would say. You know, it was pretty cool. I saw, when I first moved here, we got to go because of Noah, obviously, but Brantley Gilbert do Crossroads with Leonard Skinner. Okay. And that was in the factory, which was just amazing. Like, I grew up on that was my thing. Like, I listened to Leonard Skinner when I was too young to listen to Leonard Skinner, you know, and but that, honestly, man, I just want, there's obviously all those names, those famous staples in Nashville, but I want to get into all of them. You know, I want to build me, you know, and the truth is I feel like I can. I don't quit, man. Like, and I know I wrote a song about quitting. And the truth is sometimes in life you have to get out of something that is not healthy. Yeah. But it's not who I am. It was very, very difficult for me. That's just not how I'm wired. It's not how I was raised, you know? So I don't give up, dude. And we've got a bunch of stuff in the works too. I'm excited, actually. I can't wait for, obviously this song just came out, but I'm more excited about the next one.
That's you know, by the time you get one song, all that you do to prepare one song, in your mind, you can't help but be thinking about the next one. And
I'm already, the next one's ready to go, and it's I love it. And it is me. It's who I am, who I was, how I grew up. You know, it is it's it's a picture of where I came from, so it's fun.
Yeah, that's I'm the artistic process, the creative process, when it encompasses your life, and like, you probably could bring your family and friends into some of that with the videos. Like, you know, I'm sure there were some people on that set that, you know, for the last video that used this first video, that are part of your life, that are in that video. And so it's neat to be able to include your friends and your family in your vision, in your dream.
Oh yeah, they're the ones that are making it happen.
Yeah. So. You mentioned Skinner. You mentioned them.
Oh yeah.
And are there any other past or present musicians that we haven't talked about yet that you really have drawn your inspiration from over the years? Where do you begin, right?
Where to begin? Honestly, like it's very broad. Obviously, I love rock. But, you know, I mean, shoot, I listened to a ton of Steve Miller Band when I was a kid. My dad, you know, he was into music.
Love Steve Miller.
Stevie Ray Vaughan, Steve Miller. I listened personally, like, I remember getting just YouTube's greatest hits, just on repeat for me. That was and that's not even really in that realm, but just good music, yeah. I don't really know where to even begin there. I mean, I've listened from that. My playlist goes from U2 to Shine Down to, some heavy stuff in there.
Yeah,
I listen to everything.
That's really cool. I mean, and I think it's kind of neat for people to hear that because, when you're writing in, you're focusing on country, as your genre, but there's so many other genres that have influenced you to this day. And I think it's always neat to hear a country artist cover a rock. I mean, like Rascal Flatts, for example. Rascal Flatts, after every concert, their encore is typically 2 or 3 covers of maybe Bon Jovi or this or that,
Right.
Pretty cool to be able to do that in the country vein and be respected and say, hey, we do more than country. Country's my foundation. This is where I make my living.
Correct.
But I do listen to, I am also in tune to the rest of, the world with U2 and Steve Miller and all those bands.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yes, sir. I mean, you're absolutely correct. You can't, it was weird. I felt, I was at work today and Matt just let me know how old I am. I don't think I'm that old, and I feel like most people know who Van Halen is, but I said, man, Van Halen died. Yeah. And he was like, who? And I said, oh my word.
It's mind-boggling when someone said, I know. It's mind-boggling. Yeah.
So then we had a whole tribute the whole day. It was like, this is what we're going to listen to all day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's humbling when you an artist that's in our life that was a big part of the thread that we're woven from.
Oh yeah.
And you mentioned to somebody like, who's that? Like, wait a second. And I've worked in the music industry a lot of that's what I like about the diversity of music is I used to, I know you talked about how physical music went more to digital, and a big part of that affected by that because I used to work in the music industry for labels, and I lost my job eventually because of that. You know what I mean? It went from selling CDs to trying to
figure it out.
Yeah. So I worked for one of the 5 majors, and then it just dried up, and so. But just working in record stores growing up too, before I worked for the label, working in record stores, and everybody who came in and threw a different record on, and truly they were records they were throwing on, and it wasn't a CD. I mean, it was CDs too. I'm not that old, but so there were some. I was working in record stores when CDs were just kind of clicking in, but I also remember times putting a record on and being behind the counter of someone buying music, and the records bouncing up and down on the turntable. But everybody would bring in their own eclectic taste. They'd either bring in a cassette or a record, or they start to bring in CDs, and the melting pot of music that I would get to listen to. So I'm all over the place with my music, and I can appreciate that about you, the bands, the diversity of the bands you listen to. Yeah,
it's helped make me who I am.
Yeah,
and honestly too, you get to hear all the stories. That's all. I mean, that's what it is too. I mean, a lot of people write music that doesn't, there's not much to it, which that's fine. If it's catchy, cool. But like, there's a lot of really good music out there that's inspiring to people. At least that's how I take it, And so it's, that's what I hope that I can be, to somebody in the future as well. So.
Well, it's always neat to read or hear firsthand, like in our conversation, about how a song was written. So when you talked about At Quittin now, I've got this perspective, you sat down, how that line just came to be and how it built the song. And it's always neat to hear those stories about songs and to look deeper into just past a nice melody and say, wow, there's a lot more to this than I didn't realize sometimes when you read a book about someone, an autobiography. Correct. And you say, wow, this is how this song came to be. And sometimes it's glamorous, and sometimes it's like, hey, no, I was having dinner at the local restaurant, and someone came up to me and said, blah, 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 and here it is. Here's my album cut title,
Oh, yeah.
So it's always neat to hear those stories. Yeah.
That's how one of the songs that I've got coming out, actually. I was on the Stairmaster for one of those. So that would be a cool idea.
Yeah.
So now that I'm working on them, they're coming out fast.
Yeah.
So,
once you get back into that mode, once you're back into that mode, then there's no stopping you. Once you're back into a songwriting, you see the success of how one song has come together now to be ready for public consumption now, that for people to hear and see. Then you're like, okay, the pen doesn't want to stop, I'm sure,
Right. Oh, yeah.
when we get back to a place where live music can happen again, is there any vision in your mind of someone that you would just be just blown away to share a stage with, or to open for them, or to do it, share a set?
I mean, there's so many good artists, but I mean, yes. I mean, man, I'm obviously in the country realm of things. I mean, I love Garth Brooks, but I mean, you got Garth Brooks, you got shoot. Honestly, right now, but Brothers Osborne's doing, I absolutely love.
Yeah.
That's just their vibe is great. I would love to be able to do a bunch with a bunch of artists if I can make that all work. Kelsey Ballerini, she's killer. What's that artist? What's her name? No, it's not her. I'd have to think off the top of my head. She wrote a song came out. It's called Run. Very good song. What is that? Who is it? I'm gonna look this real quick.
Yeah.
Who is it? Let's see here. Maybe Lauren Elena. Let me look here. Sorry.
That's okay.
Let me see here. Yeah, Lauren Elena.
Oh yeah, Lauren. Yeah. I think she just recently
she's got a killer voice. I love her voice.
And you hear her name more and more every day. I think she just recently did, the Grand Ole Opry. I don't know if you've been watching that. Saturday nights they've been doing Circle, and they've been doing some of those shows. And I think she just recently hosted one of them. She was kind of like the MC of the show, and her name is coming up in a lot of conversations. She's, so that would be a neat one too. And in our world where you can kind of reach people by the touch of a text or a Facebook post. I mean, I hear stories every day about people who, get positive feedback from an artist in the industry because of something that they posted on their site. Maybe they did a cover of someone's song just to share it with their fans, and all of a sudden the artist that wrote the song is bouncing back saying, "Hey, that was amazing," and what more can you get? That kind of thing,
Right. So, oh yeah, there's a lot of talent. I mean, and you mentioned Rascal Flatts. I didn't even bring them up, but I used to love. I mean, man, he's amazing.
Yeah,
they're amazing. I love good vocals.
Yeah.
So.
And they were powerhouses that just kept putting out record after record after record. There wasn't much space between those records. They just kept. They had the craft of songwriting going, and I felt like it was like. To me, it felt like it was every year and a half. I felt like a new record was coming out. Not that there's ever pressure to do that quickly, I mean, especially in today's world, you just got to, like you're doing. You put a single out, you let people absorb that, and then you can go with another single and decide when.
I don't want to waste it, I don't want to waste it.
Yeah.
It's like I'm gonna keep writing. I just got to get it all together. But I got a handful of things working, which is good.
That's great. When did you decide? There was a space. I was going to ask you about this, but it sounds like there was a pretty good space of time between Sargent Avenue and your solo career, and longer than I had thought it was.
Sargent Avenue hadn't done anything since 2011. I think that was when we were done. It was 2011. So yeah, I really haven't done much of anything since then, other than just try and get by.
Right. But Noah has been a big part of that, getting you back into
Noah's been, him and Noah and I have just become lifelong friends. That was just one of those scenarios. So, he'd always kind of joked about getting back into it. But then, obviously when I moved here, it wasn't really even a thought. He just joked about it. But then we started writing, and it just kind of one thing after another, man. I mean, it really was not. I would be lying if I said I moved to Nashville to get into music. I didn't.
Well, I mean, it's just a great story because, like we said before, you could have moved anywhere in this country, and thank God that you did move to where you did, because it led to getting you on this path of something that you've done your whole life, and you've been around music forever as a fan, as a performer, performing with your band, growing up at home and playing with your family, playing instruments and singing. It just seems like the natural progression for you, and thank God that you landed it outside of Nashville as opposed to outside of some city that that didn't have that happening.
Yes.
So that's
God's timing is pretty cool.
Yeah. So So you're, like you said, you're working on a second single, you know, I mean, and it's hard, it's so weird to talk about that because like today's the release of the first single, but you always
Right.
got to be thinking ahead. And I know just
Yeah.
when I was in the industry, it always was, we did so much
Yeah.
setup for one single that we
Mhm.
had to be thinking about how are we going to promote this artist beyond that first single. And so
Yep.
you're always thinking ahead. You gotta.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So what's coming up? Like, I mean, do you think that an EP is something that would happen before a full length?
Eventually. Hopefully, I want early January drop another single, and then I've got another song that's all the way done as well. So it's like I don't know if I'll do 3 singles in a row or if I'll do 2 singles and then drop an EP. Like, we'll see. I don't want to burn it all up, but at the same time, too, I want to play the right game of chess too.
Yeah, it is a game of chess. You're right, because you have to play all the pieces right to make sure that you're in front of your fans, and that, you know, I suppose there could be a point of not saturation, but just if you got these great songs, you don't want to, like you said, you don't want to burn them up too quickly because you want to spread them
Correct.
out and give someone something else to look forward to a few months from now,
Correct.
6 months from now, a
Yeah.
year from now.
Mm-hmm.
And probably what will happen.
Hopefully 6 months to a year from now, I'll be able to just, do this full time and pump out a bunch of music.
Yeah, that'll be a great day, won't it? Won't it be a great day when that you make that transition into this is your thing?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But and I would imagine just the way that things are going so far, meeting all these different people, that you'll probably end up doing a lot more songwriting with people that maybe you didn't even know at this point. You know, this like we said before, it's a songwriting haven, and just sitting down and mingling thoughts and putting it all together to see what could happen next. You know.
Yeah, it'll be cool to see. I'm excited.
So just to kind of, I want to respect your time today. So just to kind of wrap things up, what we talked about, what's the best way for people who are just learning about you? What social media do you feel makes the most impact, where you're able to do the most posting?
I post most on Facebook.
Okay.
It's just kind of just, I've got an Instagram. I try to keep up on that as well. I'm, like I said, right now I still work full-time job, so
Sure.
I try not to spend too much time on social media, but mainly Facebook. I think obviously we got my website up now, jmocountry.com. I'm pretty sure we changed the Facebook tag to JMO Country as well.
I believe so. I believe that's how I kind of clicked in there too from some of my research. Yeah. And
and so obviously all of them are available from the website. So if you can't find it some way, you just go to the website and all the links will be there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I try to stay pretty active on Facebook and Instagram. I don't, this whole TikTok thing I'm trying to figure out.
You and me both. I'll tell you. Yes.
But yeah, I'll try and stay with the times there. But yeah, I'll try and do a better job as far as, obviously I have to, as far as a presence online. That's going to be a transition in its own, honestly. But at the same time too, I'm up for whatever challenge just gets thrown at me. So. Yep.
That's great. Well, that's the thing. You've got the desire to do this, and you're not a quitter, like you said. You don't, it's not something that's in your makeup, in your chemical makeup to be a quitter.
Not in my DNA at all.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And I know you have merch on your site that you've got At Quittin t-shirts. You've got
we got a bunch. Hopefully we'll be getting some more updated stuff there. I ordered a couple things, to be straight up honest with you, that the quality just wasn't what I wanted. So I'm going.
So you had to redo and kind of have it.
We're going to hand pick out some things and say, hey, this is up to my standard, which I don't want to send people a bunch of junk. So, but yes, there are some things on there that are solid, and they'll continue to get better. So.
Well, Jordan, I can't thank you enough for your time today, especially like on a day. I feel honored that like the day that this is all really coming together in the perfect storm of goodness, that I have a chance to talk to you and get your take on it just as it's happening in the moment.
Yes. So I appreciate you having me. Thank you very much. Absolutely.
And the best of success and to you in the future as we get back to the stage. Looking forward to seeing a live show. I'm in Chicago, so but I could travel. I've been down to Nashville many times, and looking forward to the days when we can do live music again. So
very good, man. Me too.
Best of luck, and thanks so much for your time.
Hey, thank you very much. We'll talk.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.